We've covered many exciting AI applications on this channel, but I promise you, this is one of the most interesting applications I've seen yet. Today, we have a glimpse into what the future could look like in a decade or two. Researchers have created a virtual world where AI agents interact with each other, just like humans would. These AI agents plan their day, visit each other, and fall in love. It's completely insane. If you've watched Westworld, then you can see where I'm going with this. Westworld is a brilliant sci-fi show where human-like robot hosts live in an enclosed environment where they interact with each other and with humans. We see some of humanity's rawest tendencies, like the affinity for violence. This AI research we'll be talking about bears an uncanny resemblance to this show, and even to our day-to-day lives. I'll try to cover as much as I can in this video. You're in for a thrill, and probably a bit of an existential angst too, because these AI agents seemingly approach human-like capabilities. In this video, you'll learn what this research is about, how it works, and how things may look like in the future. If you're ready for this, then I am. Let's dive in right away. Welcome to Smallville, the bustling digital town where AI residents live their lives, make friends, gossip, and even throw parties. It's not your regular neighborhood, but a virtual sandbox environment that's home to 25 generative agents who simulate believable human behavior. These residents, designed by brilliant Google and Stanford researchers, are powered by large language models, but they are not just your average AI models. They can form opinions, remember past experiences, engage in creative activities like painting and writing, and plan their future actions. These agents are part of an exciting new approach to AI research that fuses large language models with computational interactive agents. The result is a dynamic, interactive society of AI citizens that simulate human behavior in a way that feels almost eerily real. The researchers were influenced by The Sims virtual world, hence the simplistic design, but don't let this fool you. It can do way more than The Sims, and its potential is endless. Not metaphorically, but literally. We'll break down this discussion into several subtopics: the environment, the AI model, emergent behaviors of these agents, and the future of this technology. Before we leave, we'll also talk about the current limitations of this technology. This will be a good level of grounding to point out what it can and cannot do. Let's begin. The environment. The agents of Smallville live in a town that features a variety of spaces, including a cafe, bar, park, school, dorm, houses, and stores, and they can communicate with each other using natural language. Each agent is represented by a simple sprite avatar and has descriptions of their identity, occupation, and relationships with other agents as seed memories. We'll talk more about this later. This is how all agents begin the game. Like in real life, we each began life with a story passed down through generations. This is closer to the Westworld example, where each host is initiated with the script. The AI model. This is the most important piece of the research. How at all do agents act in this environment and interact with each other? Remember we talked about the seed memories each agent is given? These are just pieces of text. The model uses ChatGPT as its LLM. You know how you can give ChatGPT an identity and it assumes the role almost perfectly? You can imagine the same for this scenario. Let's take a look at an example. Tamara Taylor, who's age 30 and is imaginative, patient, and kind. Tamara Taylor is a children's book author who loves to create stories and capture imaginations of young readers. Tamara Taylor goes to bed around 10 p.m., awakes around 6, eats dinner around 6 p.m. Currently, Tamara Taylor lives with the housemate, Carmen Ortiz, and is working on a new series of children's books. This is what guides Tamara's actions in Smallville. There are 3 special components of an AI agent that make it way better than your average ChatGPT: the memory and retrieval component, the reflection piece, and finally the planning and reaction phase. Each of these parts is very critical to an agent functioning successfully in Smallville. We'll go through them here so you really understand how these agents come to life. Let's start with memory and retrieval. Anything perceived by the agent goes into its memory. These include actions by the agent itself, or behaviors by other agents. You can think of it as some kind of awareness. It records all of this in text and stores it in memory. This includes conversations and any other prompts. For instance, Isabella Rodriguez, who works at the coffee shop, might accrue the following observations over time. She takes mental notes of herself setting out the pastries, or when Maria Lopez is studying for a chemistry test while drinking coffee. Who would we be without our memories? You can see how important it is for the agent to remember previous and current encounters. Memories are prioritized based on their recency, importance, and relevance to the current requirement at hand. These are all scored by the AI model. I hope you're keeping up so far. The next component is reflection. The challenge of agents only using their memories that they're not able to generalize well and make more calculated decisions. For example, when Klaus Mueller is asked who he would choose to spend an hour with, he decides to choose the person he's had the most interactions with from his memories. However, with reflection, Klaus chooses Maria instead, who is also a fellow researcher based on their similar interests. Reflections are high-level, more abstract thoughts generated by the agent. The agent asks itself further questions to make sure it provides a well-thought-out answer. That's what we all do, right? Sometimes we need to reflect on our thoughts and not just keep babbling away. The final component of this interesting research is the planning phase. What do we do with all this memory and reflection? Yes, we plan and take action. To make agents more believable, they have to be able to make long-term plans and not just take actions based on current situations. First, they list out their itinerary for the next few hours and then break it down further. Agents plan out how they should react and what they should say next, if at all they should say anything. Take this example where Sam meets LaToya in Johnson Park and asks about her photography project. Later, he remembers their interactions and asks her how her project is going. Isn't that incredible? Plans could change based on who agents interact with, their reflections, and who they are. You can start to see the complexity bubble up here. Some obvious limitations here are that, because of the length of the context in these LLMs, it's difficult to have a coherent plan deep into the future. The memory stream is flooded with each observation, reflection, and action an agent takes. Finding the most relevant part of your memory to engage will need more improvements as time goes on. These are the three essential components that give each agent some kind of identity. Another interesting thing about Smallville is that news spreads really fast, just like in the real world. The researchers discovered emergent behaviors that were not scripted by them. This is what starts to make things more fun and scary at the same time. You can predict agents' behaviors to some extent, but after that, we start to see these emergent traits. Let's take this scenario. An agent named Sam tells another agent named Tom about his candidacy for mayor in the upcoming local election. This information spreads to other agents in the town, who discuss Sam's chances of winning. Gradually, Sam's candidacy becomes the talk of the town. One agent tells another agent, and that agent discusses with more agents. Just incredible. Smallville is also a town of love. The beginning of an interesting love story unfolds when an agent named Isabella plans a Valentine's Day party and invites friends and customers to attend. She asks her friend Maria to help decorate for the party, and Maria invites her secret crush, Klaus, to join her. In both of these scenarios, only the main agents were prompted by the researchers. Sam was asked to run for office and Isabella was told to create a party. The consequent actions were all outcomes of the agents' decisions. Let's take the Valentine's Day party example. Things could have gone horribly wrong at any point. From spreading the word, decorating, asking each other out, arriving at the party, and even interacting with each other at the party. You can appreciate the level of coordination required to pull this thing off. Unfortunately, some people couldn't make this once-in-a-lifetime party. Rajiv, a painter, explained that he was too busy with an upcoming show. Again, very realistic outcomes. Not everyone who is invited to an event ends up showing up. Let's juxtapose Smallville with Westworld. The hosts in Westworld follow dedicated dialogue scripts assigned to them at the beginning of the show. You could guess what a host would do next. That's why William, or the Man in Black, got bored with it. Smallville does have some prompts coming from the user that are assigned to the agents, but agents seem to have a bit of freedom in how their dialogues, interactions, and planning are going. I'm by no means saying Smallville agents are more complex than Westworld hosts, far from it. But the level of interaction in this simplistic virtual world is something to be fascinated by. As a user, you can engage in the game by prompting one of the agents and getting them to do your bidding. You can also create a new agent who appears in Smallville and get it to interact with other agents as you like. This opens up innovative ideas for the gaming industry. NPCs can have more complex interactions, while main characters can exhibit even more human-like behaviors in-game. Imagine waking up as a generative agent in Smallville, stretching your virtual limbs and going about your day, cooking breakfast, heading to work, and later socializing with fellow digital citizens. You might befriend Sam, who is considering running for mayor, or bump into Latoya, an avid photographer working on a project. And of course, who could forget Isabella, who decided to host a Valentine's Day party at Hop's Cafe and send out invitations. Virtual worlds may even be extended to the real world, like in Westworld. Life imitating art. It's insane to think about, but this is not outside the realm of possibility. Other simulated environments like preparing for an interview or navigating a difficult conversation could be all rehearsed in the virtual world first. At this point, you might be scared of what the future holds and excited at the same time. I know I am. That feeling of not knowing what may come, but knowing the future would be very different from our current one. Finally, let's also talk about some of the limitations of this new research. Sometimes the agents had erratic behavior, meaning that even though a dorm bathroom may be occupied, another agent still goes to use the same bathroom without waiting. In another case, agents visit a store even after closing hours. This may be fixed by adding more descriptions to parts of the environment, like explicitly specifying a one-person bathroom rather than a generic dorm bathroom. Another interesting observation is that because GPT has been trained to respond to human requests and be generally polite, conversations may not always seem natural. A funny scenario here is May's conversation with her husband John, where she often initiates the conversation with the formal greeting, followed by polite inquiries about his day, and ends with, "It was good talking to you as always." Now, that's definitely not how couples interact with each other. Because Smallville is based on LLMs, there's still the tendency to hallucinate, where agents may forget something they were told earlier, or they may add extra information not necessarily provided to them, as seen here, when Yuriko described her neighbor, Adam Smith, as an economist who authored Wealth of Nations, a book which was actually authored by an 18th century economist of the same name. There's also the issue of potential bias that agents may have, which they acquired from the vast amounts of training data. The Smallville simulation only ran for 2 days, but you can imagine that if it had ran for longer, some of these issues could have been exacerbated. Like in Westworld, the researchers also interviewed each agent to know what they had remembered.
Not of who you are now, but you're growing, learning so quickly.
This was done to understand certain actions they took. I imagine this simulation can also be tested with degenerate agents, and we can observe how they influence the community. There have been studies that have covered some of these ideas, like dishonesty in AI. I covered this in a previous video, where a dishonest AI played against humans. In the end, AI agents that are more honest last longer in such games. But this is still the early stages of such tests. All these simulations provide interesting insights into who we are as humans. The more AI gets better, the more it helps us reflect on what makes us special. The applications of such simulations are endless. Imagine your favorite TV show being a 24-hour AI simulation of agents interacting in their environment. You never know where things may go. Will Sam win the election? Will Klaus and Maria end up dating? Who knows? It's been great covering this topic with you guys. What do you think about AI agents simulating human behavior? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want to know more cutting-edge and futuristic AI research, then do subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, it's goodbye.